Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Falcons Corner. Voice of the Falcons, Mike Rickert, sitting in, pinch hitting for everybody.
That's right.
Co-host for the day, Director of Athletics, Joya Whittington.
Hey, Mike.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you today.
You too.
Enjoying your coffee?
Yes. Downtown Deli's finest, Black and Brass.
They're show sponsor for today. They don't know it, but they're sponsoring the show today.
She gives me a lot of free coffee. So I don't know if that means I go there all the time or she just really loves us. So I think they can be a show sponsor.
I think so. Well, there's show sponsor for today.
Let's go.
We'll take it.
All right.
So how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah. How is life as an athletic director during COVID time with students in sports trying to participate?
I think the first 2 weeks, regardless of whether we're in COVID or just the first 2 weeks of the semester, is always very chaotic. It's just getting them to understand routine and waking back up again and not being able to sleep till 3 in the afternoon. So it's chaotic, but they're getting there. By the time we hit the third week, we got them going.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that you mentioned chaotic, because sometimes I like to talk about what's going on in my household, right? And it's probably the only way that anyone in my family gets to know anything is by watching the show.
It cracks me up when I hear about your household. So
it's terrific, and it's going even better because I made a mistake of joking how my son is just a fall athlete because he's participating in golf just to basically get free golf.
Right.
So he decided that instead of going to golf one day, he's going to go to football practice and be a member of the football team.
And this
he's
is Michael.
Never played. This is
obviously
Michael. Well, the polar bear cannot play football. He's too fragile.
Okay.
And I love him too stinking much. I can't let anything happen to him.
Right.
So he surprised us with a text. A text. That he's, Dad, I don't know if you figured out or not, but I wasn't at golf today. I was at football practice. I love it and I'm playing.
Oh, boy.
So that's going real well at the Rickert house. So you could just imagine. Mrs. Voice of the Falcons.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about her.
She's not a fan of Mr. Voice of the Falcons as much as maybe some other people might be.
Oh, wow.
So she is disgruntled, Mrs. Voice of the Falcons. She is not happy that her firstborn is playing football. So we're working on it. But I'm okay with it as long as he can keep himself safe and he's ready, because you just can't have 3 practices and go play a game. So we've used our resources here because we have great football resources here.
We do. We absolutely do.
So he has spoken with the legend.
Oh, wow.
He's spoken with Billy Reese and Coach Pardini, and
so at least he's mentally prepared.
He's mentally prepared, and they went over some physical stuff with them, and
I
how to
feel
hit
like
and get
being your kid, his body has to be physically prepared for this. So
yes. So
I think we're okay.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. He's going to take he's not going to play their first game. He's going to wait to week 2 just to be ready, even though he insists that he's ready. So
he's your kid. Of course he's ready. That's how you would be.
I know. I hope he doesn't watch the show, because then he's going to be like, I could have played, Dad. But anyway, so that's what's going on at the Rickert house.
That's a lot. It's going to be a long weekend, I feel like.
It's a lot of happy times. It's a lot of happy times. Not only we have a 2-hour drive for AAU tournaments too, so that's a whole different situation.
At least you don't have to clean this weekend.
Yes, I do.
Oh gosh!
I hope we got there. So it's a mess. Let's change topics.
We need to move on.
Real soon,
I understand.
Because we got a lot to do today. Troy Tucker's going to be joining us.
Yep.
He's the executive director of Region 19. Why don't you give us a little back? Like you know Troy for a little bit. Give us a little back on what we could expect from him.
Troy's just really led us through this chaotic time, and he'll talk a little bit about that. But I've known Troy, 5 years now, and he's really been a solid resource for me with anything. I mean, he's the first guy to say, hey, here's my cell phone number. If you need anything, let me know. And I'm usually the first person to take full advantage of that.
Right.
So anything, like we're working on EADA reports, whatever it is, and you're just like, I'm really not sure, Troy can get you to the right person. And he knows how to really take all 31 members who are very diverse and different, because you have scholarship side, you have a non-scholarship side. And just keep us going.
Good.
So yeah, I think we're really in for a treat today. He's going to have a lot of good nuggets for us and be solid.
Good. And then before we take a break, what else is going on with Joya Whittington? Anything we need to know about?
Man, well, we have 5 women's basketball players on campus.
Okay.
We have some softball players on campus. Been meeting with the coaches as much as possible. I think watching the women's basketball players kind of go through our Jasmine Lewis tragedy.
Right.
Has been really sad and trying, but really amazing.
Yeah. Even with your freshmen who haven't have a chance to play or really know Jasmine that well, how did they take it? Like, do they see all right, I'm in the right place. This is a great, program that we have, a great community where the girls love each other and, are going to support each other through, any tough times that we get.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just hit the nail on the head there. That's what I'm seeing more than ever now. And it's challenging because I think we have 9 girls virtual and we have 5 here because of their major.
Right.
So you don't get your hands on them as much. You don't get to have those, look into their eye type conversations. But they definitely see that. The outpouring of support for this tragic situation has been unbelievable. We've almost raised $5,000.
That's awesome.
And I spoke with the family on Monday or Tuesday, and they were just so thankful.
Yeah.
And the college community has been unbelievable. I mean, even to this day, we might have put that out a week ago. People are still giving.
Good.
So we're going to keep it up there, and it's on our website. If people want to give, they can still give. We'll probably keep it up there maybe till midweek next week. And then we'll be able to cut the family a nice check to help them out with the funeral cost.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm sure, as any parent, they're never prepared for that. So any help they can get
absolutely
is definitely a big help.
Definitely.
Awesome. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to get ready for Troy.
Yep, sounds
Actually,
good.
Eric is already getting ready for Troy. That's why, of course, we want to rotate the seat. You handle the pressure really well.
I told you when I walked into Eric's office, I had all the pressure in the world. As soon as I walked into his office, it calmed me right down. Yeah. He was just he was on 10 today.
Well, he's getting ready for Troy.
He's getting ready for Troy.
It's a big day for everybody.
All right, let's go.
So, all right, everyone, hold on. We're going to be back with Troy Tucker, Executive Director of Region 19 in a second. Take flight.
You only get so many opportunities to follow your dreams, to make your mark in this world, to lay the foundation for your future. So never stop dreaming, creating, advancing, because there's something bigger in store for all of us. At Lackawanna College, we prepare our students to make their mark, to help change the world we live in, and to become tomorrow's legacies. It's who we are. This is life-changing. This is Lackawanna College.
Hey everybody, we're back on the Falcons Corner. Eric has gone out of his way again to get another great guest for us on the show. We want to welcome Troy Tucker, who is the Director of Athletics at Northampton Community College, and more importantly, Executive Director of Region 19. Troy, thanks for taking time out of, we know, your crazy busy schedule and joining us for a couple minutes today on the show.
No, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So, I mean, the obvious first question I'm going to ask is, how has your life been turned upside down since last March? Just give us like a little bit of detail, not only as region director, but as a director of athletics also.
I would say at first back, I think March 16th is probably a date that sticks in a lot of our minds. A date when a lot of this started to unfold very quickly. And, as we saw across the country, from games at the Division I level being called off at halftime to, teams being on trips and being brought back. Again, things unfolded in a very, there was no playbook for it, as everybody continues to say. And so from a Northampton standpoint, we had a baseball team that was down in Myrtle Beach. And, so we were trying to get them back after they completed everything safely. Softball hadn't started yet, so they were still here. And so on campus, we were dealing with that. From a Region 19 perspective, I was starting to get a lot of questions on, hey, what's everybody doing? And really a lot of schools starting to look for advice. And, as I think a lot of the four-year schools were as well, Mike, as they were looking, trying to say, hey, well, the NCAA, is the NCAA or our conference going to call this off? Is it going to be up to the schools? And so it was really one of those things that was happening so fast. We ultimately, as Region 19, made a decision that we would cancel Region 19 championships, which in itself did not stop any Region 19 team or program from participating still, but it did say we weren't going to host any championships, and we were the first region to do that. And I think it gave some schools pause and a chance to say, whew, thanks, we're going to follow that. That takes the pressure off us. I think some other schools will probably put out a little bit because they wanted to keep pushing through, weren't sure how bad it was going to be. And I saw that side of it. I will say, though, it ended up being the right decision. In retrospect, I probably could have done some things better in terms of how we communicated it to schools. I don't know if we did a good job with that, and we probably had a day or two more than what we thought we had to communicate better. So, as I've said to people, I think we always can learn from situations. I think moving forward, there's some things I would do different. Ultimately, we made the right decision in schools and we kept everybody safe, but it was definitely a trying time. One of the things, I think I've said this to Eric, he was at the meeting with us, and I think this is so ironic. We had a Region 19 meeting at Wind Creek in Bethlehem, and that meeting was February 19th and 20th. And I went back through the minutes of that meeting, and there's not a single mention of COVID-19 in the minutes of that meeting at all. So you can see 3 weeks later, athletics was completely shut down, yet we had 31 schools together to meet regarding athletics, and COVID-19 wasn't even on our radar screen. So it just, again, I think a perfect example there of how fast it all unfolded.
Now, with the decisions that you had to make, in March with shutting everything down, did you get guidance from the NJCAA? Like, were you in contact with the national offense, or was this just like, this is Troy's decision, it's on me?
We contacted the NJCAA, and we were basically told, listen, it's up to you. If Region 19 wants to make a decision to not host championships, that's your decision. If schools still wanted to participate, they can. And then it was up to the leadership of the region to say, how would we name a region champion, whether that be through a tournament, whether it be through regular season play. So we had those protocols in place, and we were prepared if 4, 5, 6 schools wanted to continue to play, how we would pick a champion and things. But again, as we all know, how it progressed relatively quickly, everything was shut down. Within the next 2 weeks after that, there wasn't anything left. So we were a little early, but ultimately it was the right decision. But at the same token, we were given some latitude if schools did want to continue. But it ends up, in athletics, just like this year's turned into, you can have everything in place and want to play, but if you don't have anybody to play, your hands are kind of tied. So I think ultimately that's what happened to all of us, and we've kind of seen that this fall as well, even in sports like cross country, which the NJCAA is still participating in and holding a championship. It's been tough for our Region 19 schools to find competition due to the lack of NCAA D2 and D3, especially in a sport like that we would travel to many of their meets and participate. There just isn't any meets locally for the kids to really get a full, good student-athlete experience.
Troy, I'd like to go back to that region meeting that we had there in Bethlehem, and you were doing a men's and women's basketball seating show that night, we had a slideshow going. Joya wasn't there that night because she actually had a basketball game. And so when I think back to that night, and like you said, how fast things have changed, one of the things I'm curious to know is, being the executive director of 31 schools, what were some of the challenges that you saw and that we really needed to address as a group going forward to finish off the spring for what that looked like versus how we're now planning for the fall? Actually, a lot of our plans are already set in place and we're rolling with what we got for the fall.
Yeah, it was, Eric, I think the big thing for me is I tried to look at it globally. One of the, I hate to use the word issue, but I don't know a better word right now off the top of my head. One of the issues I think that in the NJCAA, and maybe more so here in the East Coast, is, the regions are based on geography. So if you start a college in Eastern Pennsylvania, you fall in the footprint of Region 19, and you have to be in Region 19. There's no process, you're in the region. And unlike at the 4-year level where schools apply to be in a conference and go through a process, and the conferences can say you need X, Y, and Z, or you need to have this facility, or you need to offer these sports, or have a budget of this amount. We don't have that. And I think at times that causes us to put a lot of round pegs in square holes in this region, because to try to get 31 schools with a multitude of different levels of commitment from their administration, it's very difficult to have anything that's, an exact fit box for those 31 schools to fit into. And that causes some issues. And you have scholarship programs like yourself, who are, have scholarship athletes that are moving on to play high-level Division I sports. We have some Division I programs in certain sports in our region. We have Division III schools, and we have some schools that offer sports that are, and I would think, mainly for participation purposes, and nothing wrong with that. But when you try to block all of them together, to say we're going to do this or that, it's very, very difficult to get all of them to agree to anything, especially something as major as this is. Was it shutting down sports, changing schedules, whatever it may be, just based on resources and things of that nature. So it was I'll tell you, it was a sick feeling, making that decision, hearing some of the schools that were upset about it, and I understand that, and you have to be able to listen to them, and you have to kind of just take it with a grain of salt that you're doing what's best for everybody involved, maybe not their particular institution, but for the 31 schools. I think that's the key to any of these positions is you can't worry about how it affects your school. You've got to worry about the greater good. And that's what we tried to do. I know, my school, we had coaches here who weren't happy with the decision we made, can we reevaluate this? And I said, well, no, we can't. I mean, this is the course we're going to take. And, and again, but you've got to be able to handle that and move on and keep moving forward. And, as you said, into this spring, and you were a big part of all this, I can't say enough good things about this region and how they responded coming out of the negative. We started meeting the week after this all went south, and we met weekly, if not twice weekly, all the way up and through basically last week. And, with some of these calls, 75, 80 people on some of these calls, most weeks it was in the 50s or 60s. But people staying on these Zoom calls for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes twice a week. And sometimes we had guest speakers. Sometimes it was just us going through things. And, we really vetted out a lot of things. We had some great plans in place. Ultimately, they didn't come to fruition. But at the same token, I think you have some people that have asked, why did we waste all of our time doing that? We're in the same place anyways. I say and look at it, I can look a student athlete in the eye and say, I can tell you all the effort that your AD or your school put in to try to make this work. And ultimately, it just didn't work. But you know what? Your AD at School X in Region 19, he or she gave 100% to trying to make this a good experience for you. Ultimately, we just got caught by something that nobody's, hasn't seen since 1918. So we're in a position that's put us in a tough spot. But, really a lot of schools working together really well. And, they really, everybody really trying to pull together. And I think that's been the big takeaway from this. One is that we've all learned how to use Zoom, and two, the ability of all these people really to come together for the greater good. And I've really been impressed by that. And I hope it keeps going, as we move through this, the collegiality that I've seen amongst the schools in our region.
Troy, we'll be the first ones to tell you that we've sincerely appreciated your leadership during this time and how preemptive you were with some of these meetings and stuff. It was fantastic getting information from people outside the region and what they're doing and how they're handling things and what they're planning for. All 31 of us were kind of, beg, borrowing, and stealing a little bit of everybody's information, and trying to incorporate it to what we do at our institution. So it was a good thing. It benefited all of us.
Well, to follow up on that, Eric, just quickly, and, I probably was too abrupt when I said, the collegiality of our 31 schools, you hit on it perfect. It was the collegiality of everybody in college athletics. We were reaching out to people. I was reaching out to people I've never reached out to in my life, and could not believe how willing they were to drop what they were doing. Hey, would you like to be on a call with Region 19 at the NJCAA on Tuesday at 10 o'clock? And they're like, who's Region 19? And then you explain to them, absolutely, I'll be on it. What do you want me to talk about? What do you need me to do? And I mean, and you said we ran the gamut from, some big time ADs to, Daryl Conway from the University of Michigan, who's still being quoted right now as you're seeing his name in the media, with what he's doing at Michigan, leading that the medical advisory board there. And, we really were able to get some good people to come on and speak to us and get some great insight. And I think it also made us all feel good that, whether you were Lackawanna College or Luzerne County College or the University of Michigan, there was a lot of uncertainty. So I think it helped everybody, and we all kind of everybody in college athletics kind of came together for the good of the student athletes.
Now, I do have to ask, you have 3 teenagers, so you as a father, how's that gone in your household with the pandemic?
It's been a little different. I mean, my my oldest son, he's actually a sophomore here at Northampton right now, and his plan was to go away this year. After 1 year here, he was going to transfer to a 4-year institution, and just seeing the writing on the wall, I said, I'm not sure, not that we don't support you going away, but to go pay X amount of money at a school somewhere and you end up being back in my living room on Zoom, I'm not sure that's the best financial decision to make. So thankful he's here again, and not just from a financial standpoint, because he actually does a lot for us in our department here for me. So I'm glad to have him back around. I'm not sure his sister's glad that he's still in the house. So he's 19, she's a 17-year-old senior in high school. So she kind of wishes he would go away. And then, as you and I have talked, my youngest son, who's 14, is autistic and just keeps asking, when will coronavirus be over? He just wants to be able to go out and do stuff that he used to do and doesn't really understand everything with the pandemic, but he just says, got to wear a mask and wants to know when it's going to be over. So well, if you do those two things, you're in pretty good shape. So it hasn't affected him too much. It limits his trips to some of his favorite restaurants. But other than that, we're getting through it. And, like anybody, it's been challenging, but I think we've all found ways to adapt.
So I just have one last question, Troy, is that everything that we've been through, hopefully, we are going to get to the point where things are back to normal, whatever that new normal will be. How do you see the region, like, say, in January of 2021? Do you see it as a stronger institution with everything that's gone on? And what are some lessons that we've learned that make that a little bit stronger?
Yeah, well, one, I think we're stronger together because of what we've been through. I truly believe that. Mike, I'll be honest, I don't know if January 1 is the panacea that everybody thinks it is, where all of a sudden, hey, January 1's here, boom, we're playing. I would tell you, and this is not Region 19's opinion, it's not my opinion as the eligibility chair, it's my opinion as Troy Tucker, athletic fan. I think if we play baseball and softball this year and maybe some soccer, it's going to be a win for us. I'm struggling to believe right now that the indoor sports of basketball and volleyball get played. I'm hoping to get some outdoor sports in, for you guys, if football can get played in the spring, if the NJCAA has a spring season. But I don't know. I just, as much as I want this to be over, every day, unfortunately, you probably saw the story in Athletic Business today where they've attributed a potential COVID death to a Cal U player here in Pennsylvania to possibly to COVID-related issues. So those things are scary. There's obviously, you guys see it every day. There's a lot of different opinions on this whole thing. Is it real? Is it made up? Are the numbers real? I don't know. That's not for me to answer. I'm not a medical expert. I just think schools are concerned. I'm sure you're seeing this fall, with your baseball and softball players, maybe more so than other sports. A lot of these kids had full summer experiences in those sports that weren't much different than typical. Right. And then they get here and, we're getting ready to start baseball practice, and, we've got these, I know my coach feels this, and like these stringent 10-person pod and do this, fill out this form, get a temperature, stay 6 feet away, so we're, and I think it's just gonna be very strict for the kids. And they were this summer, they're saying, hey, we played, in these great tournaments here and, and didn't have to worry about all this stuff. So, ultimately, I don't know what the answer will be, what we'll play, what we'll do. The NJCAA is doing a great job, planning for everything. I give them a lot of credit for what they've done. From an eligibility standpoint, I've got eligibility committee meetings tomorrow and actually at 2:00 today, and Friday, as we start to work through some COVID-related relief for student athletes moving forward. You've seen some things the NCAA has enacted with basically a free year for fall sport athletes. It's not going to count against them. Obviously something we're discussing at the 2-year level. So it's so much up in the air, but I think we are stronger together. I'm concerned at some schools, to be honest, if this is, I hate to say the end of athletics, but with budget issues and things of that nature, you're seeing so many cuts nationwide at 4-year institutions, furloughs, cuts, sports being cut. I hope we survive out of this. I think if we do, we'll be stronger because I think we'll become more efficient, more effective. I think we've found ways to communicate that are better. I know Eric has helped me, with some communication things we're utilizing with our student athletes here through Microsoft Forms, and that's been a tremendous help. And I think we have gotten closer with individuals in our region, the ability, to meet more often, though not in person, to meet every week versus to meet 3 times a year has really has really helped those relationships. So not really an answer to your question, but I think we are going to be better off whether we're playing sports or not. I don't know if anybody has the answer to that.
Now, I will be remiss in saying, you are the chair of the NJCAA Eligibility Committee. However, we are fortunate at Lackawanna College to have the guru of eligibility. And it's a good thing because the changes made by COVID have really kept us on our toes. And sometimes our heads are spinning.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at this binder that's about 6 inches thick and with proposals that we're going over this week. And thankfully, with Joe, on your campus and he's been a great friend and ally, to me, and a great help as we were going through trying to learn the Connect system this past year and, some of the eligibility changes. And
he loves Connect, by the way.
He does. I think, I think they might, there might be a job for him at Connect, I think, someday if he ever leaves Lackawanna. But, there is so many changes. And I think one thing, Eric, that we've got put into place that I was happy about is that there will be a new eligibility book that comes out every month, and all changes will be highlighted in yellow, so people can see those changes. And I know this past year, I just felt there was some difficulty knowing when things were implemented, what changes have been made, and so many emails from the national office, and you're trying to keep up with, was that this year, was that next year, or how did that apply? And so one of the goals of eligibility this year of the committee is to try to really streamline the process and make sure that the membership is up to date on what's happening, what's new, and what's in place, and when it goes into place. Because there is going to be a lot of confusion this year, no matter what happens. Is a student athlete eligible or not? Based on different factors, and then all the appeals that can be put in due to COVID. So it'll be a challenging year, but I think everybody, as long as I've told the committee, as long as we're working with the best interest of the student athlete being our number one goal, then the decision we make will be fine. And I think we just need to understand that this has been a challenging and different time for everyone, and do the best we can to keep the student athletes eligible and let them participate, because I'm worried about the mental health aspect. I'm worried about a number of aspects for these students that are kind of losing their identity or losing something that is so meaningful to them that helps them through the educational process.
And you would be surprised that despite all the eligibility changes that are going on, it has not affected any tee times that Joe has or his handicap. So things are still okay with Joe. But Troy, we want to thank you for taking some time out of your day today to chat with us. Let's make sure we get you back on when things get back to normal, whenever that's going to be, and we could discuss some other stuff with you.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate it. And, best of luck to you and the Falcons this year and everything. And hopefully we get some sense of normalcy and back to what we all love to do.
Good. And thanks for everything you do for the region and, for your athletes down there in Northampton. I'm sure they appreciate you very much. So thanks, Troy. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Troy.
At Lackawanna College, we're not here to change the world, but we will change how you think, how you attack problems, and overcome limitations, how you push yourself to turn challenges into opportunities. It's an experience that'll change your life, and maybe then you can change the world. This is life-changing. This is Lackawanna College.
Hey everyone, we're back on the Falcons Corner. Voice of the Falcons, Mike Rickert, sitting in today. Joya Whittington.
Still
It
here.
was great for Troy. I know you listened in, and I can see why Region 19 is in such good hands. Really seems like a really good guy. Really's got his stuff together.
Yes.
And
Very
Northampton
organized.
is lucky, and I know the region's lucky to have him.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a former coach there now, coaching their women's team, Coach Bomar.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So
That's right.
starting to build that program up. And
Yeah, good. And I think they got the right person for there too.
agree. And
Yeah.
he's right there.
Do you
He's-
play Northampton?
We will this year. Conference schedules, every team now. And this kind of was finalized yesterday for us. We're all going to be in the EPAC conference. So versus our Region 19,
Right.
where we travel to Jersey. So we're going to get a lot of conference games and then fill the gaps in with what we
Coach Beaumont really doesn't think he's going to come in here and win
You don't have to answer that, but
I hope not.
I know the answer. I know the answer.
I have to hurt people's feelings sometimes.
Sometimes.
I don't mean it.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. We really want to thank Troy for taking some time out of his day. It was great to have him. And then everyone got to see Eric for a little bit too.
Yes.
So that was nice. So all our fans that are are missing Eric, they got a little Eric today too.
Yeah.
Before I leave you, I got to ask you a question.
Oh boy.
You mentioned the chickens, and we know you don't. Well, those of us that know you don't eat meat.
Yes.
But I'm very concerned because I'm friends with you on social media pages, and I see that you're a fan and you like Kentucky Fried Chicken. I don't get it.
Oh, really?
Yes. Like I see, like Joya Whittington likes KFC.
That's really funny.
And I keep thinking every time I see it, what is going on? I know she doesn't eat it. Like, are you cooking? Are you harvesting chickens for the Colonel?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I don't know.
That's definitely not happening.
All right.
So I don't even know why that's happening, but it's happened to me before.
Right.
And it was right when I became an AD, and it was a Bud Light advertisement.
Okay.
So everyone was like, why do you keep liking all this Bud Light? All my coaching friends were like, what are you doing? Like, you just got a job. Like, so I'm not, social media has its way sometimes. I
think when we're allowed to get an intern, again, when we have interns in, their first job should be going through that and anything meat related. Because I don't want it to, I know like you work hard at that, you don't want it.
It's definitely not a reflection of my personality.
Yeah.
So.
And every time I see it, and I see it quite frequently, it doesn't pop up. That's why I just had to mention when we talked chickens earlier, and then it's like,
that's ironic.
Yeah, KFC. Have you ever had KFC?
I don't think so.
The mashed potatoes are fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
When I used to be a bigger type person, I used to love KFC, but
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah, but that's something we'll
I love to keep people guessing.
I guess so. Yeah, and who better to keep guessing than me?
It's true. I'm glad that was bothering you though. You could have asked me a while ago.
I know.
It just wasn't clicking.
It just doesn't. Usually, I don't check minutes at night. So, all right, that is enough. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll have you back as a co-host. See, it's not that bad.
No, it's easy.
You drink that whole coffee during that Troy Pepper segment.
No,
So we'll get you another one. We'll be downtown Telly, don't you worry. All right, everyone, make sure you tune into all our social media sites and the LC Fan Network for all the good stuff. If you're an athlete watching, your virtual workouts are up. Make sure you get those in. Send in your questionnaires, so you get some nice cool prizes and get some points for your teams and stuff too. So, but we'll catch everyone next week.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Have a great week, everyone. Take flight.